The Roman Empire dominated the world for over 1,000 years, and at its heart were leaders who followed 12 specific principles that made them nearly invincible in both war and peace. These were not just abstract philosophical ideas. These were practical rules for daily life that created legendary figures like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Today, I am going to give you those exact 12 rules in a form you can apply immediately to build the same strength, wisdom, and effectiveness that made Rome the greatest civilization in history. But here is what most people do not understand about these rules. They only work if you actually follow them, not just understand them intellectually. Stay until the end because I will show you exactly how to implement each one in modern life, and why even following half of these principles will put you ahead of 90% of people who are still living by emotional impulse instead of rational discipline. Rule number 1 is control what you can control and accept what you cannot. This sounds simple, but it requires constant practice because human nature wants to worry about and try to change things that are completely outside our influence. The Romans built their empire by focusing maximum energy on what they could directly affect, while adapting skillfully to what they could not change. Make a daily practice of asking yourself, is this within my control or not? If it is within your control, take action. If it is not within your control, accept it and redirect your energy to something you can actually influence. This single rule eliminates most anxiety and maximizes your effectiveness because you stop wasting power on impossible tasks. Rule number 2 is judge by actions, not by words or intentions. Romans valued results over rhetoric. They promoted people based on what they accomplished, not what they promised. They made decisions based on evidence, not on hopes or fears. People will tell you who they are with their words, but they will show you who they are with their actions over time. Pay attention to patterns of behavior rather than individual explanations or apologies. Trust people who consistently do what they say they will do. Be skeptical of people whose actions regularly contradict their stated values or promises. This rule prevents you from being manipulated and helps you build relationships with reliable people. Rule number 3 is prepare for setbacks before they happen. Romans did not just hope for good outcomes. They planned for bad ones. They prepared for siege, for betrayal, for natural disasters, for economic problems. This preparation was not pessimistic. It was practical wisdom that allowed them to respond effectively when difficulties arose instead of being paralyzed by surprise. Regularly consider what could go wrong in your important projects and relationships. Develop backup plans for your career, your finances, your health, your living situation. Build skills and resources that would serve you if your current circumstances change dramatically. This preparation creates confidence and resilience because you know you can handle whatever happens. Rule number 4 is live according to nature, which means live according to reason. Romans believed that humans are rational creatures and that living well means making decisions based on logic and wisdom, rather than on impulse and emotion. This does not mean suppressing feelings. It means using reason to evaluate feelings and choose responses that serve your long-term interests and values. Before making important decisions, ask yourself, what does reason suggest is the wisest choice here? What would I advise someone else to do in this situation? What choice aligns with my deeper values rather than my immediate impulses? This rule helps you avoid decisions you will regret and builds a life based on principle rather than random reactions to circumstances. Rule number 5 is virtue is the only true good. Romans distinguished between things that are truly valuable and things that are merely preferred. Health, wealth, reputation, and pleasure are preferred in difference. They are nice to have but not essential for a good life. Virtue, meaning wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline, is the only true good because it cannot be taken away by external circumstances, and it always serves both you and others. Focus on developing character rather than accumulating possessions. Measure success by how well you live up to your values rather than by how much you achieve compared to others. Make decisions that build virtue even when they require short-term sacrifice. This rule creates lasting satisfaction because virtue is the only thing that cannot be lost once it is gained. Rule number 6 is memento mori. Remember that you will die. Romans regularly reflected on mortality not to be morbid, but to maintain perspective and urgency. When you remember that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on trivial concerns and start investing it in what truly matters. You become more grateful for ordinary experiences and more motivated to make a positive difference while you can. Regularly remind yourself that every day could be your last. Ask yourself, if I knew I would die in 1 year, what would I change about how I am living now? What would I want to be remembered for? How would I want to spend my remaining time? This practice eliminates procrastination and helps you focus on genuine priorities rather than busy work. Rule number 7 is be useful to yourself and others. Romans valued contribution over consumption. They asked not what can I get from this situation, but what can I give to this situation? They built their empire by creating value for others while developing their own capabilities. Look for ways to be genuinely helpful in every situation. Develop skills that serve both your own goals and other people's needs. Contribute to your family, your community, your work environment in ways that create mutual benefit. This rule creates opportunities and relationships because people want to be around those who add value rather than those who just take value. Rule number 8 is practice voluntary discomfort to build strength. Romans deliberately exposed themselves to controlled hardships to prepare for uncontrolled ones. They would sleep on hard surfaces, eat simple food, wear basic clothing, and endure physical challenges to prove to themselves that comfort is not necessary for happiness, and that they could handle more than they initially thought. Regularly choose the more difficult option when both choices are available. Take cold showers, exercise when you do not feel like it, fast occasionally, walk instead of driving when practical, sleep without excessive comfort sometimes. These practices build confidence in your ability to handle adversity and reduce your dependency on luxury for contentment. Rule number 9 is associate with people who make you better. Romans understood that you become like the people you spend time with. They chose advisors, friends, and associates based on character and wisdom, rather than just compatibility or convenience. They sought out people who would challenge them to grow rather than just make them feel comfortable. Evaluate your relationships honestly. Do the people closest to you inspire you to be better or enable you to stay the same? Do they have values and habits you admire or values and habits you want to avoid? Gradually spend more time with people who elevate your thinking and behavior, while spending less time with those who bring out your worst tendencies. Rule number 10 is focus on process, not outcomes. Romans understood that they could control their effort, preparation, and strategy, but could not guarantee specific results because outcomes depend on many factors outside their influence. They measured success by how well they executed their plans rather than by whether those plans produced the desired results immediately. Give your best effort to important goals while accepting that you cannot control all the variables that determine outcomes. Celebrate excellent execution even when results are disappointing. Learn from failures without being destroyed by them. This rule prevents both arrogance when things go well and despair when things go poorly, because your sense of success is based on factors within your control. Rule number 11 is practice gratitude daily, but do not become attached to what you are grateful for. Romans appreciated their blessings while understanding that everything in life is temporary. They enjoyed good fortune without depending on it continuing forever. They loved people without making their happiness conditional on those people never changing or leaving. Daily reflect on things you appreciate about your current life, while remembering that all external circumstances are subject to change. This balance creates both contentment with what you have and resilience when what you have changes. You can fully enjoy present blessings while being prepared for future challenges. Rule number 12 is leave a legacy through your example, not your words. Romans wanted to be remembered for what they built and how they lived rather than for what they said. They understood that actions create lasting impact while words are quickly forgotten. They focused on becoming people worth emulating rather than people worth quoting. Live in a way that others can learn from your example. Focus on being the kind of person you would want your children to become, or that you would want to follow if you met yourself as a stranger. Create value that will last beyond your lifetime through the people you influence, the work you do, and the character you develop. These 12 rules created the foundation of Roman excellence for centuries. They work because they are based on how reality actually functioned, rather than on how we wish it functioned. They require discipline to follow but create freedom as a result. They demand short-term sacrifice but generate long-term strength. The Romans did not become great by accident or by hoping for good luck. They became great by following principles that aligned with how the world actually works. The same principles are available to you, but only if you commit to implementing them rather than just admiring them intellectually. Start with the rule that addresses your biggest current challenge and practice it daily until it becomes automatic. Then add the next one. Over time, these 12 rules will transform not just your results but your entire approach to living. If you are ready to live by these ancient rules for modern success, tell me in the comments which rule you are going to implement first. And if you want more practical wisdom from history's greatest achievers, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The principles that built the Roman Empire can build your life too, but only if you follow them with the same commitment the Romans did.